We've been talking on the Diamond Sutra for 3 lectures, and we already finished the introduction. We already have mentioned the bibliography of Diamond Sutra, the topic of it, the Vajra, Prajna, Paramita Sutra. So today we will have to start from the sutra. So let me read out to you the first paragraph. Thus have I heard. Upon a time, one time, the Buddha sojourned in Anatta Pintika's park by Sravasti with a great company of bhikshus, even 1,250, with an assembly of 1,250 bhikshus, with a community of 1,250 bhikshus, fully ordained monks. So those in brackets were just to add the emphasis to it. That's not the translation. So this section 1 or chapter 1 explains the causes for the congregation. Section 1 contains the causes that lead to the formation of the congregation of the Dharma assembly. The first one in the Chinese language is Xin Cheng Zhou, establishment of faith. Now what does that mean? Before Sakyamuni Buddha entered into parinirvana, that is to say, before Buddha Sakyamuni passed away, Ananda and other disciples asked a few questions of the Buddha, very important, last but very important questions. One of the questions is, when the Buddha passed away, who is going to be our teacher? And the Buddha said, the precepts is going to be your teacher. The Vinaya, the Sila, is going to be your teacher. And another question asked is, how do we start the first sentence of a sutra? When we start a sutra, how do we start it? When we start a discussion in a Dharma assembly, how do we establish the faith? How do we begin? What's the first word? What are the first words that we should say? And then the Buddha said, you should say, thus have I heard. These 4 words, thus have I heard, have become the traditional opening of a Buddhist sutra. In almost like 80 to 90% of the sutras, it always starts with, thus have I heard, these 4 words. These are very important 4 words. This signifies the authenticity of the sutra. Thus have I heard. And also, thus have I heard, it established faith, and it also establishes who listened to the sutra, who got all the information from the sutra. The word I means Alanda, the I who has heard the sutra. The Alanda who is the longest attendant of the Buddha, and he heard most of the sermons and attended the most congregations of the Buddha, and he had the best memory. In those ancient times, they simply recite and memorize all the sutras. They don't have printing. They just memorized it. So Alanda attended most of the congregations. So any sutra that contains these 4 words means that it is heard personally by Alanda. So it's the first one. The first cause is, thus have I heard, it established the authenticity of the sutra, the faith, establishment of faith, and also the listener, the Alanda who listened and got the information and listened to the sutra, and now they all come together. All these words, the sermon come together. So In the Chinese language, the first one is Xin Chengzhou, establishment of faith, and the second one is indication of the listener, Ananda, the listener. So it's the second cause. It has to be, is it authentic? So that's the first cause. It is. Who listened to it? Ananda, the longest time attendant of the Buddha. The third one is the establishment of time. When? When was the congregation held? So at one time, at that time, in India, they didn't indicate a BC or AD, they just at one time, at a certain time. So the establishment of time, which is the third cause. The fourth cause, it's who is the speaker? So the Buddha was the speaker. The Buddha was the speaker. Who's the speaker? That's the fourth. The fifth, the location. Where is the congregation held? Now, according to here, if you read Anatta Pintikas Park, there's a story leading to that. Anatta Pintikas Park is in Sravasti. Sravasti is a city in the country of Kosala, the homeland of the Buddha. Sravasti is in northern India, near Nepal. At that time, there was a philanthropist, a layman by the name Sudatta. His name was Sudatta, and he always helped the poor, the sick, the elderly, by giving them money and giving them food, and it's very famous in giving out charity. And he was a follower of Buddha Sakyamuni, and he wanted to find a place to offer to the Buddha for Dharma assembly. And he found a place called Jetavana forest. Jeta is the name of a prince. The prince had a very nice scenic area of forest. It's called a Jeta forest. So Anatta Pindika asked Prince Jeta if he would offer this place to the Buddha. And Prince Jeta said, no, this place is so valuable to me. But if you really have the mind to offer to the Buddha, let us put it this way, if you lay gold on the location where the congregation would be built, the building where it would be built, then I'll offer together with you to the Buddha, just to show your sincerity. And Sudatta did that. So actually the Anatta Pintikas Park, it's actually located in Jetavana forest. Jeta as the prince, the name of the prince. So Prince Jeta, the royal prince, and Sudatta, the philanthropist, joined together this place. Sudatta, of course, offered all the money to build it, and the labor and the material, and Prince Jeta offered the land, the forest, all together. So in all sutras, in most sutras where congregation was held, it was usually held in that place. They also call it Jetavana Grove or Jetavana Forest. So that's the location. Location donated by Sudatta and Prince Jeta. That's the fifth cause for the formation of a congregation. What is the sixth one? The sixth one is the audience, the people of the assembly that listen to the Buddha's Dharma. The official membership that comprises the Sangha order contains 1,250 people, 1,200 bhikshus. So just the first paragraph, the most important meaning to it is, when a congregation is formed, it does not form without a reason. There's got to be 6 reasons for it, 6 causes for it. So like in this, what we're talking now, like in this assembly, we call this assembly, there must be a location, there must be a speaker, there must be audience, there must be a time when this congregation was held, it's being held, and also establishment of faith, of course, because we all listened to sutras expounded by the Buddha in the ancient times. So everything has causes that lead to it. And we call that what? In the philosophy of Buddhism, we call it causality. Causality is a very profound subject, simultaneous causality. That touches the field of philosophy. I remember last time, what's the name of this professor who came from University of Hong Kong, and he is a Theravada monk. He gave a lecture at UBC, and his topic is simultaneous causality. And he got into details, and not many people understand what he was talking about. Only people who study causality. So, causes. Nothing comes without a cause. You are what you are today is not without a cause. The fact that you're coming here to listen is not without a cause. Then the intelligent people would learn a lot from just from the first paragraph. What do we learn from the first paragraph? If you think deeper, what do we learn from just the first paragraph? Causes. If you want to build a good world, you got to cultivate causes for building a good world. If you want a good life, you build up to it. It does not come from God. It comes from you. You are the creator. You create your world. You work hard at something, you get it. You're lazy, you don't get it. If you want prosperity, you work towards it. It's all in your hands. It's all in your hands. So the 6 causes. 1,200 bhikshus, what does that mean? In most sutras, there is an assembly of 1,250 people. The 3 Kasyapa brothers, Yuroviva Kasyapa, Nadi Kasyapa, Gaya Kasyapa, the 3 Kasyapa, the 3 elderly disciples of the Buddha, they had, before they follow the Buddha, they are the leaders of certain faith. Yuroviva, Nadi, and Gaya Kasyapa. They are Deva worshippers. They worship Devas. And they had 1,000 followers. The 3 brothers have 1,000 followers. And then there is another disciple of the Buddha, Mahamoggallana, in the Chinese languages, Mu Jiannian. He had 200 followers following him before he followed the Buddha. And there is another disciple, Yasha. He had 50 followers. So if you add 1,250 together, it's 1,250 people. By converting these 6 men, the Buddha attracted a group of 1,250 disciples who were present at many of his sermons and who were known collectively as the Sangha order. There's a reason, 1,200 people. They all came together. That's the official structure of the Sangha order. This 1,250 bhikshus. And some people ask, how about when Buddha first turned the Dharma wheel, there were 5 ascetic monks. Where are they? It's included in there. They take the even number. They won't say 1,255, so they just round it off to 1,250. So bhikshus, what does bhikshu means? Bhikshu means fully ordained monks. It's a Sanskrit word. Bhikshus means the one who begs for food. begging for food. The term was originally used in India to refer to the fourth stage of the Brahmanistic life. Therefore, a Brahman has 4 periods in his life. It's believed should be leading a fourth period. The first period is being born in childhood. The second period is learning in adulthood. The third period is having a marriage life. And the fourth one is a retirement, where they renounced home and went into the forest to practice and become enlightened. That's a Brahmanistic life, wherein the householder would renounce the world, become a beggar, and seek enlightenment. There's four stages. So bhikshu means you're at the fourth stage where you renounce the world, went into the forest for meditation to get enlightenment. In Buddhism, it came to refer to a Buddhist male as a bhikshu, a practitioner who has renounced the secular world and received the 250 precepts. So that's a bhikshu. It's roughly equivalent to the term, there's another term for it, sramana. Saman, sramana. It's more or less the same as sramana. Actually, the word bhikshu, this Sanskrit word, has 3 meanings. The first one is conqueror of demons. Bhikshu conquer demons, demons of your own mind. You conquer demons. The second one is mendicant. Mendicant is a beggar for religious pursuit. Beggar not because he's lazy, he's begging for food. He's a beggar because he wants to spend all his time for religious pursuit, for enlightenment, not spending time in preparing and cooking for food and washing and all that. So it's begging, mendicant. And the third meaning is pure in precepts. They follow precepts. They observe precepts. So these are the meaning of the 3 important meanings of a bhikshu. Conqueror of demons, mendicant, pure in precepts. In the Chinese language is 不魔欺世境界 Bhikshu. That's Bhikshu. So that's the first paragraph. I don't intend to explain further because otherwise we can't finish. That's enough. If you know, in the first paragraph, if you know causality, if you know the 6 causes of formation of a congregation, if you know the meaning of bhikshus, if you know why 1,250 bhikshus become the official community of the Sangha order, that's sufficient. But there's a lot of information already in there. You need notes. If you don't take notes, maybe, but we have it on if you plan to learn it academically and explain it later, you can't just remember because there's so much in it in here. After the talking, I think I would use approximately about 30 days to explain this. Out of the talking, it will be a book. It will be a book about that thick. So just by remembering it, you can't do it. You have to do some work at home. And there may be some information that you can't even find in the internet because I got it from what I learned and from many Chinese commentaries on the Diamond Sutra. But anyway, let's carry on. Second paragraph. One day, the world-honored one at mealtime put on his robe and took his bowl, make his way into the Greek city of Sravasti to beg for his food. So, what is the meaning of the world-honored one? The Sanskrit word for it is Bhagava. Before we start with Diamond Sutra, in the beginning of the session, we say Namo Tassa Bhagavato, Bhagavato. That's Bhagavam, that means the world-honored one, the world-honored one. One day, the time must be before noon for the Sangha members to eat. Sangha members cannot eat after the nautical noon time. According to the monastic code, bhikshus must not eat after the nautical noon time. This is called Vikala Bhojana. Vikala, that means not appropriate time. Bhojana means eating food. You cannot eat food in a time that is not appropriate. So you have to eat food before the nautical noon time. Why did monks beg for food? What's the reasons for begging for food? Isn't it bad to beg for food? No, it's not. It's not right to beg for food. Being a beggar? Well, there's so many reasons for bhikshus begging for food. Number one reason is to subdue one's ego and arrogance. To put your ego and your arrogance under control. Mental defilements come from the self and the ego. When feeling of pride arises, being humble would get rid of your pride. For the sake of liberation from ego, bhikshus humble themselves and practice begging. So they beg for food. It's to humbleize yourself, to put your ego under control, to reduce your arrogance. That's the number one reason. The second reason is to put an end to the attachment to worldly desires for material ones such as fashion, beauty, cosmetics, sumptuous food, comfort. A monk practices austerities. This act also serves to remind others. For example, others, but when people see the monk begging, they would think, oh, here is a monk who practiced austerity to get rid of attachment to worldly desires, to cultivate, to liberate themselves and others. They are so determined in what they're cultivating. I must learn from them, and I must not indulge in food and comfort. When they see a monk begging, they would think, why would a mendicant, why would a monk be begging? They want to liberate themselves, they humbleize themselves. There must be a reason for it. So this act of begging causes those who indulge in material wants to think and to be enlightened. So begging really benefit others who see the begging. So that's number two reasons. Number three reason, by feeding on begged food, the Sangha members did not have to spend time in preparing for food, buying food, cleaning and cooking utensils. A lot of time is saved for the practice. Imagine how much time you spend in your meals. You go to the supermarket, you buy food, you drive there, and you spend 1 hour in buying the food, and then you bring it home, and you clean it, you cook it, and then after you cook it, and then you clean up your utensils and all that. You spend a lot of time in doing that. The eating itself is just maybe about 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, but you spend hours to prepare your food. And in order to put all the time to studying, to practicing, they beg for food, reduce the arrogance and self and ego, humbleize themselves, and let others learn and think about what they're doing, and let them be enlightened. So that's number three reason. Don't think that, oh, a monk begged for food, that's bad. No, there's a lot of significance and meaning to it. Number four reason, when they are begging, they cannot pass the doors of the poor and go to the door of the wealthy people to get good food and delicious food. They cannot do that. And actually, they cannot get from more than 7 householders. Now, if they go to the first householder, if they don't have any food, of course you go to the second. But you cannot go to more than 7 houses. And you cannot just go to the wealthy people to get good food. Even poor people, you get their food. So there's no discrimination. For any act of the Sangha order must be free from bias and discrimination. This also provides a chance for the poor to practice charity. Why do we become poor? Because in our last lifetime, we didn't want to give. We are miser. We don't want to give. We just want to receive. We don't want to give out. So giving is meritorious. Giving is blessing. So because people didn't give in their last lifetime, they became poor in this lifetime because they didn't cultivate the cause for being rich. So there's causes for everything. So So these are the four main reasons why monks beg for food. Are they sufficient reasons? Just saving time is a good reason. Saving time, saving a lot of time in putting it to the practice. So let's carry on the third paragraph. In the midst of the city, he begged from door to door according to the rule. This done, he returned to his place and took his meal. That refers to the Buddha, begged from door to door. Of course, the followers follow him. The disciples follow him, back from door to door, and according to the rule. This done, he returned to his place and took his meal. Next, when he had finished the meal, he put away his robe and bowl, washed his feet, arranged his seat, and sat down. So, in the fourth paragraph, he finished his meal. Well, everybody finishes one's meal, put away his robe. What is the meaning of robe and bowl? A robe? Each monk possesses 3 robes. I possess 3 robes. The first one is the 5-patch robe with 5 stripes, the 5 patch robes. In the Sanskrit language is Antavasa. In the Chinese language is Antuo Hui. It is worn for daily activities such as cleaning, working, sitting and sleeping and laboring and all that. The simple one, the 5-patch robe with 5 stripes. That's the first robe. The second robe is the 7-patch robe. Even in Theravada now, in Thailand, in Burma, and they're wearing that. The 7-patch robe in the Sanskrit language is Uttara Sankha. It is worn for congregations, for listening to the Buddha's talk, for interacting with the Buddha, for prostrations, and for upasatta. Upasatta is bi-weekly chanting of the precepts. Pusa, upasatta. Every half month, monks have to come together for the congregations, chant the precepts manual, and have a conference of what have they done wrong, and if they have done something wrong, they have to seek repentance. And we call that upasatta. Very important function, held bi-weekly, in a conference way, in a big conference, where a person reads out every precept and asks, did you conform to it? Everybody conform to it? Is there anyone who contradicts this precept? If there's silence, that means everybody conform. Now, if you did something wrong, you contradict the precept, you violate it, you have to confess. In front, you have to confess. That's upasatta. Uposadha. So when you do that, you wear the 7-patch robe. The third robe is the 9-patch robe. In the Sanskrit language is Sangati, Sangqie. It is worn for alms round, going outside the temple, for going to important functions, royal functions and royal palaces, important functions. You wear the 9-patch robe. So a monk possesses 3 robes and 1 bowl. B-O-W-L, bowl. Bowl in Sanskrit is patra. Bowl. There's a bowl. Coincidentally, in the Chinese language it's called bo. In the English language it's called bowl, which is quite close. The sound is quite close. So, patra, it is also called the vessel of humility, being humble, humility. The vessel or the food container, the vessel of humility, because the monk is holding up the bowl and back from door to door. 7 householders, poor and rich, same, no discrimination. Good food, bad food, it's all put in the bowl. You can't say, no, I don't want this. No. Can you give me that? I don't want this. You can't do it like that. No picking, no choosing. That's not what happened now. When we go around serving food, no, don't want this, I want this. Now you choose. No, I can't eat that. This I eat. You're not allowed to do that. It's not right. No picking and choosing. The monastic code defines strictly as to the material, the size, and the color of the bowl. The material of it should be of iron, made of iron, because iron, it's made of iron for its durability. It's not right to use a porcelain bowl or wooden bowl. The Buddha defines the material to be an iron. But just for your information, the Buddha's own bowl was made of stone, very heavy, purple stone. A big bowl of stone. And you really need some strong arms to hold the bowl. And it was said to have been the bowl used by Buddha Vapasin. Vapasin Buddha? The V-I-P-A-S-I-N, Vapasin Buddha. Vapasin Buddha is the Buddha, you see, in the present Kalpa, the time that is closest to us, of course it also means millions of years, there were 7 Buddhas in the present Kalpa. One Kalpa is so many eons of years, but close to us. Now our historical Buddha is Sakyamuni Buddha. In the history, it's written in history, Sakyamuni Buddha. But before him, there are 7 Buddhas. And the first one of the 7 Buddha is Vipassana. People Si Fo. That bowl was used by Buddha Vipassana and passed on to Sakyamuni Buddha. It was made of stone. So sometimes we thought that in those millions of years ago, maybe they divined that bowl to be made of stone because people are stronger at that time. You can hold a stone bowl. Anyway, the bowl, must be ironed, it has its size, and that's the bowl that we're using. You see our bowl is made of iron. So the size of it is quite right. Maybe the size is a little smaller than the ancient times, I don't know. But it is big, our bowl is also made of iron. We're going to have lunch, then you can watch our bowl, it's iron, it's made of iron. Now, here in the introduction of the sutra, we should realize that this sutra is different from some others where the Buddha expressed miraculous deeds such as, in the beginning, usually in a sutra, the introduction is when the Buddha expressed miraculous deeds, radiating light, radiating energy, and miracles and all that, and sounds and heavenly music and all that. But in this sutra, it is so down to earth. Everything is so common. Everything is so down to earth. Cleaning, eating, going out begging and cleaning and sitting down, and everything is so down to earth. No miracles. No radiation of light and emitting of sound. Nothing like that. Actually, when you come to think of it, in the first section, now remember the last paragraph. He finished his bowl, he put away his robe, washed his feet, arranged his seat, and sat down. It is so down to earth, so common. But if we really give some thinking to the first section, or we already have finished the first section now, we think, what did the Buddha and his disciples do? Just thinking about the first section. It is so down to earth, so common, but actually the Buddha was practicing the 6 paramitas, do you know? What are the 6 paramitas? The 6 paramitas? charity, morality, endurances, diligence or right efforts, meditation, and prajna. These are the 6 perfections that a bodhisattva should practice. 六度波罗蜜. So actually, the Buddha was conveying the information that we should be practicing the 6 prajna paramitas. Do you realize that? Now maybe before we break for the day, since I already have finished the first section, let's find out, let's do a little bit more thinking. Let's think beyond the words. When you're reading a sutra, if you read a sutra like a story, you're not learning anything from it. It's a story. Everybody can create a story. You're not reading a sutra like you're reading a story. You really have to think about what the Buddha and his disciples were doing. They were actually practicing the 6 paramitas. The first one is charity. How do we know? Charity is giving out. You're giving out. Generosity, dana, generosity. And the act of begging from door to door, providing an opportunity for laymen to cultivate karma of giving and to indirectly educate others the act of humility, of being humble, conquering the growing ego and detachment from worldly desires. Begging seems to be getting, but then actually the Buddha was conveying the information out, giving an opportunity for the poor even to perform giving, encouraging giving, and improving and increasing the karma of the poor to give. Telling people that they should subdue their ego. Telling people that they should be detaching from worldly desires of comfort, luxuries, sumptuous food, comfort and all that. So that's charity, practicing of charity. How about morality? Observing the precepts of not taking food after the nautical noon, putting on robes during the begging, and washing and walking and lining up and walking processions, observing the order. All this is morality. All these are upholding the precepts of morality. When people see all these bhikshus aligning for the arms round, taking food graciously and walking graciously in order, this is an expression of morality, expression of observance of precepts. The graciousness of it, the sincerity of it. So this is morality. How about endurances? Going out begging for food under the sun, walking from door to door. You really have to endure. Endurances. Whatever food is given to you, you're not rejecting it, you're taking it. Whatever given, you receive without discrimination, without bias. This is endurances. Tolerance. How about the fourth? Diligence. Following the practice by begging, returning to the abode, putting away the robe and the bowl and washing feet and sitting down, and all these acts are acts of diligence, applying the right efforts to morality, charity, and endurances. The right efforts. You have to use the right efforts to it. Whatever the charity, when he's doing, he's begging from door to door, he's not discriminating, is the morality of observing the precepts, not rejecting any food, the endurances of walking under the sun and all that, you really have to apply efforts, and that's diligence. You try hard at it. And how about the fifth one, meditation? After eating, arranging the seats, sitting down and crossing legs and focusing on what is before them, this is preparation for meditation. How about the sixth, prajna? Prajna, remaining unattached and mindful throughout the practice of these 5 paramitas is the perfection of wisdom. So all throughout the act of going out on arms round, returning and eating and putting away robes and bowl and washing feet and arranging seat, the Buddha and his disciples are simply practicing mindfulness. What are we doing? What do we do in here? Mindfulness. The Buddha is practicing mindfulness in every act. All the disciples, all the bhikshus are practicing mindfulness in every step of the way, being mindful. So what is mindfulness? What are the four subjects of mindfulness? The 4 contemplations. The mindfulness of the body, mindfulness of feeling, mindfulness of mind, of thought, and mindfulness of dharmas. Remember this 4 mindfulness? The 4 contemplations? In the first paragraph, just the first section, what is being emphasized in here? Mindfulness of the body. Going out back and sitting down and washing feet and all this is being mindful. Every step, every action is being mindful of it. That's very important. There's anapanasati. That is satipatthana. That's very important. So these are the 6 paramitas. The first section tells us that we have to practice the 6 prajna paramitas: charity, morality, endurance, diligence, meditation, and prajna. In the Chinese language is 6度波罗蜜, 布施, 持戒, 忍辱, 精进, 禅定, 般若. So, at the sound of the gong, let's read this again. In section 1, we already have covered most of the important meanings in it. The 6 causes for the formation of congregations. Establishment of faith, establishment of the right listener, location, time, speaker, and audience. You got to have all this causality put together. Just as when we come to here, we got to have all these 6 causes. Otherwise, there will be no congregation. Say, for example, if I'm not here, there's no speaker, there's no talking. Well, you are not here, you're the audience. Well, who am I talking to? There will be no congregations. No place like this, no congregations. No time, no congregations. So when you come to think of it, have I cultivated all the causes that I should be leading a happy life? Or I didn't really care. I just work from day 1 to day 2 and that's it. I don't have any planning. No cause, no reason. I just live day by day. No. You have to build up. Prepare for it. You prepare your own life. You walk that life of prosperity, that life of enlightenment. You are the creator of your own life. You don't care about your life? If you care, you have to create a good life. You got to start cultivating all the causes for the good future life. It's in your own hands. You're the creator. And then you should know the 1,200 bhikshus members. And what's the meaning of bhikshu? You should know about that. Conqueror of demons, pure in precepts, and begging for food, mendicant. Who would humbleize themselves begging for food? These people are philosophers, Some of these were rich merchants ordained into monk. They didn't beg for being lazy or being inefficient in their productivity level. These are high-level people. Kassapa, Madhyayana, and Yasa, they are all rich people before they got ordained. But they were begging now. They humbleized themselves with the vessel of humility, the bowl. What possessions do they have as a monk? Only 3 rupees and 1 bowl. They didn't possess anything. Detached completely from worldly desires. They only have 3 rupees and 1 bowl. The bowl is for food, the rope is for protecting of the body. Nothing else. Imagine what we have now. And some people say we can identify your wealth by looking at the chain of keys. How heavy is the chain of keys? People carry this chain of keys all the time. The doors, they have house, an apartment, they have a car, they have a boat, and they have an account and a bank, clothes, cosmetics, diamond rings, earrings. If you move from one place to another place, it takes you the whole week to get prepared for it. Your possessions. So you back from door to door, and according to the rule and all that, return to the place and took this meal, and then you wash your feet and you start ready. And we asked in this section 2, the philosophy begins. Subhuti, the disciple, who was an expert in understanding sunyata, emptiness. He raised a question. And because of his question, we have the whole Diamond Sutra. What is that question? That very important question that he raised to the Buddha. He raised one question, and the Buddha took that question, and here we got a Diamond Sutra. That very important question, I'll leave it for next time.